Hello and welcome to the Kaya podcast. Kaya means hello in our language, in Noongar language. This podcast is about saying hello to amazing people that's doing awesome things, not only in the community but around Australia as well. And I can't think of a perfect person that I would rather be interviewing than you right now because I did a little bit of research, and as I don't like to do too much research. And because I like the conversation to flow and whatever, but the more research I kept doing, I was like, shit, I'm gonna run out of paper on my. But this podcast is all about, inspiring others with your story, indigenous leaders that might not sort of get the recognition or the respect that they deserve. And I really think you're one of them. Without further ado, thank you very much, Abby Cubillo, for welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. What are you getting into these days?
So I'm currently living in Adelaide. I'm here with the Lightning, rehabbing. I tore my ACL back in May, so I'm 6
Hmm.
months into my rehab. So just like smashing that out at this stage, which has
Yeah,
been a wild ride for sure.
yeah. Are you back on the court since? Are you like moving?
Yeah.
How's it looking?
So I've been running for a couple weeks, which is feeling really good. I'm just starting to do some change of direction stuff. I'm shooting the ball again, ball
Yeah,
handling, all that fun stuff. So rehab's
yeah.
just starting to get good, which is nice.
No, that's good. It's always like nerve. It's always in the back of your mind too. Like when you're moving, trying to like take it easy, but at the same time, you just wanna go.
I know. That's so true. They're like, all right, you can run now. So we'll do like, and then I was like, in my head, I'm like, all right, so can I just run everywhere all the time? And they're
Yeah,
like, oh
yeah.
no, we've got to like um give you a little bit and then build on a little bit. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm just ready to like
You just
play,
ready.
honestly. Yeah, I'm
And
just ready to go.
it's hard too because you're a fast player as well. Like you play at a high speed, so it's like you got to kind of like tone it
I
down.
I know taking it slow is definitely not natural to me. So I'm like, all right,
Yeah,
it's really,
yeah.
testing me with
You got
this
to be
ball.
like Dash from The Incredibles. Like you got to not too
I
much.
know.
Like tone it back a bit. Like.
That's so true.
Before we get into like WNBL and NBL one and all that sort of stuff, I just want to point out you said this is what research does. You're the first Northern Territory born WNBL player. What comes to mind when you hear that? Because when I read that, I was like, oh shit, that's awesome.
I mean, it's crazy. It definitely doesn't feel real. I'm kind of like, surely there's been someone else before me, surely.
Mm.
But like, I think I also take it as sort of like a way to challenge like the next generation and be like, all right, I was the first, but who's going to be the next? And then the next after that. And hopefully I can show kids that it doesn't matter where you're from. Like, if you're from Darwin, if you're from Melbourne, Sydney, it doesn't matter. Like, if you set your mind to something and you're passionate about it and you're willing to work hard, that like you can honestly do whatever you put your mind to.
Yeah, that's right. Like I'm a big believer in, don't set your limits,
Yeah.
Like if you have a dream or whatever, you you know, us indigenous mob, like we can really do anything we set our mind to. We just have that drive
Yeah.
to do it. But without the pioneers like yourself being the first to do it, that gives it a little bid of a precedent to make it a little bit easier to kind of navigate through. So what was growing up in the NT like before, how did you find yourself? How was Abby
Yeah.
growing up? What could you say about yourself?
So yeah, I was like a sporty kid growing up. I like grew up around sports, like my whole family, like my family's massive. So the Cubillo last name is absolutely massive. That's on my dad's side. And then on my mum's side's a big family as well. And we just like played sports, and it was like the community feel in Darwin playing sport is like second to none. Like it's
Yeah.
so incredible. So I grew up super sporty. I was playing like touch footy, netball, basketball, like I was doing the whole thing. And surrounded by family a lot. So that's like two things that I grew up with really important in my life. I guess I found my feet a little bit with basketball. I had like me and my best friends were playing in like the same under 10s team, which like we played in that exact same team up until like under 14s, I think, which was like
Yeah.
so cool for me, like playing with my best friends every weekend. And just the lifestyle up there, I think I probably, when I was younger, took it a bit for granted because I didn't know any different. And like the lifestyle in Darwin it's so cruisy, everyone's nice. You know what I mean? I feel like sometimes in southern states, because there's so many people, everyone's sort of like competing at something. Like, I got to be the best at my job. I've got to do this first and I've got to be here first. So I'm in a rush to do this. Whereas like, I definitely feel it now and appreciate it when I go home that like I can just go there and chill out and relax and like
Yeah.
people are nice and it's not always a competition and stuff like that. So
You're
it's
just
like
at home.
it's
You're just
really
at home.
nice.
It's homey, huh?
Yeah, you're just at home like with your people, you can chill out. Like I can step away like from being a professional athlete for a minute and being so professional and just hang out with my friends and family. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I grew up and like I'm really lucky to have grown up that way for sure.
No, that's wicked. Do you find that mental switch hard to kind of turn off? Like when you get back home and you're like, all right, I can relax now, and then it's kind of like you get a little bit anxious because it's like I'm relaxing too much. I got to go do.
Yeah, it definitely has taken a little bit to get used to. I think I'm more so better at going home and just like automatically chilling because like everyone is chilling there. So it's like hard to not be chill. But then I'm like, I still have to get this and this workout done. So I'm pretty disciplined in that sense. But then after I've spent a little bit of time at home, coming back into this environment and like getting going again,
Yeah.
I'm like, it takes me a day or two to be like, all right, I need to get back into my routine now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no. If you don't mind me, what country are you from?
Yeah, so I'm from Larrakia up in Darwin. Yeah, so it was awesome, born and raised there, being on country and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My nana was a very influential person. She was part of the stolen generation. So I guess we grew up with a rich culture, learning about her history, and the history of Darwin, where I was from. So yeah, family definitely important in that sense.
Yeah, that's amazing. So
Yeah.
did you get to grow up around culture and like being on country a lot?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And I think more in the sense of just like always being around family. I learned a lot through my nana telling stories. Like every time we went to my nana's house, we were like, all right, what's she going to tell us today? Sort of thing, like, which was really cool. So I learned a lot in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, nanas are really good for that. Hey,
Oh,
like,
too
telling you
good.
the stories that stick with you.
Yeah, yeah. And like I was always so surprised. I'm like, she has another story. Like I've been coming here my whole childhood and like I go there the next time and she's got a new story. I'm like, is she serious?
I'm sure she's making it up at this point.
I know. At some stage I'm like, did that happen?
Yeah. I have cramps when the nanas tell stories like when it's the same one you've heard a million times, but you gotta let them tell it anyways. Like you gotta
Yeah.
hear that just because you love to
And,
hear them.
and sometimes they like change it up a little bit to make it like a little bit different from the
Mhm.
original.
Act like you won't notice.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's too funny.
Oh no, gotta love them. But so how did you find that move from like NT and obviously your home country and kind of leaving there and going to because you went to Sydney first, is that right?
Yeah. Yep. So I went to Sydney for boarding school after I had kind of decided that like basketball was the sport I was like committed to. I was super passionate about it. One of the coaches in our high performance program was from Sydney, and we kind of made the connection and I decided to go to boarding school. I think because I was so young, like I was 15 at the time, I was like so excited about the opportunity and like going to be at a big boarding school and playing basketball somewhere different. I
Hmm.
think like that excitement and that adrenaline definitely fueled me in that first bit. But it was hard, like from being in a place that like I said, like is chill and I was super family orientated to then like being in a boarding house with like all these other kids who like are away from their own families and like now we're our own kind of family. That was like that definitely took a little bit of an adjustment, but like I guess I got really lucky with the people that I was with that they actually did become my family.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it also helped, like, I was obviously in communication with my family every day, calling and stuff. But I think like I was so busy at boarding school that like time just flew. And then like by the time it got to like week 8, I was like, all right, I'm ready to go home in 2 weeks, like getting really excited for it and stuff.
No, that would have been crazy. Especially it's amazing how quickly and long those connections last when you're away from home and you meet other people, and then it's kind of like you kind of you're so different, but because you kind of
Yeah,
all
you're all in the same boat, and you like all need that support, and then you just like naturally gravitate towards each other, and like yeah, definitely the
yeah.
relationships like form faster for sure.
Mhm. Mhm. And then after Sydney, you got accepted into AIS. Is that
Yeah.
right?
So I plan on staying in Sydney for year 10, 11, and 12. So I
Mhm.
actually repeated year 10 because I didn't want to go straight into the HSC. I was like, I just like want to get a year under my belt. Like I was young for my year. So I was like, I'll just do it again. And then yeah, I got that call at the end of the year, and they were like, "Oh, like we want you to come to the AIS." And like I remember like calling my mom and being like, "I don't want to go there. Like I want to stay in Sydney." I was like, "I just moved to Sydney. I want to stay there. I love boarding school." And like it took a little bit of convincing, like for people like coaches in my life, my family, to be like, "Look, like the AIS is a bit of a big deal. Like you should like think about it." And then like eventually I came around and moved to Canberra the next year, and then spent the next 2 years there, which was like honestly two of the best years of my life so far, I reckon.
What was life? What was life like there? So
It's just
you get to Canberra, and then what's like the first thing?
well, like we get to Canberra and you kind of like meet the people, the 12 girls that are going to be there with you, which is really cool.
And did you?
We
I bet you sized them up as soon as you met them, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But imagine me like sizing up Zatina Kuso and Ezzy
yeah,
McGregor,
yeah.
like I had
You're
nothing
like,
on them, you know? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I had to befriend those two to be my
yeah,
bodyguards
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
Let's set good screens for me, girl.
Yeah. But it was like really cool. Like I was still really young at this stage, but like you go into the AIS and like you live in these like apartments things. So you're living with your friends, like 6 of your friends in this like apartment. It's really cool. Like there's the dining hall, and then you go to the gym, and the gym's amazing. And you're 16 or 17, and we like get a 30-minute massage a week. Like, you know what I mean? Like this, it's just like, is this seriously happening? Like, this is the coolest
Mhm.
place ever. And like, we had a really good team actually there at AIS. So when we were playing, like, it was really fun. I loved our coaches, but like, it was like my first taste of being like a professional athlete. And I think having that at such a young age was so exciting for me, especially when I was such good friends with the girls that were there. Like, I had great relationships with them. So it just like made it better than what,
Yeah.
yeah, I
So
thought it
it's
was
like
going to
how
be.
you imagine making it growing up. Hey, like you've got
Yeah.
everything you need. You got a good team.
Yeah. It was
Home, but
seriously
you
like
still,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just like an incredible experience. Like, probably like the best facility in Australia to develop your like basketball and all of that, like S&C, like sports psych stuff. We had like that stuff's incredible. So like it was a really cool experience.
Nah, that's wicked, and that's it's something that you have to have a lot of courage to do. Like that's what I think holds a lot of indigenous fellas back, especially because we're so connected to country.
Mhm.
When it becomes like a chance to move away from country and kind of do something outside of the scope,
Yeah.
it's like it's like a really big deal. But sometimes you just got to kind of close your eyes, count to three, and just do it.
I think sometimes you need to do it. Like it definitely was scary. I came from like being in Darwin where I was the big fish in the little pond. So like I was the big dog there, and then like you get put to the AIS, and now there's like all these big dogs in a little pond, and like it was just like you just it was one of those things that like I would have never forgiven myself if I like stayed in Sydney and went to boarding school, you know? Like I'm so glad that like obviously I trusted the influence of my family to be able to guide me that way. But yeah, I'm so glad that I made the decision and just like was just like I'm just going to give it a crack, and
Mhm.
like if it didn't work out, then like it didn't work out. I'm sure if it didn't work out for me, I could have organized something in Sydney to be like, hey, look, this didn't work. Or like I would have been able to go home and be with my family. So like, but if I had never taken that opportunity, I like, who knows if I would have been here doing what I'm doing, you know?
Yeah, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't
I would,
know.
yeah, for sure.
That would have been wicked. And before we get into that other stuff, when did the foodie start? Because you're a foodie, aren't you?
I'm a foodie. I
When
am.
did Eat with Abby start?
I think Eat with Abby like officially started when I think we were in lockdown. Like I was bored. I had so much time. But like funnily enough, like when I was a kid, I was the pickiest eater. Like I'm only eating what my mum cooks. Like I'm not eating anything green ever. You know what I mean? Like I'm eating rice and something else, you know, that's
Yep.
what I'm eating.
Yep.
So I think like when we got into lockdown, I just had so much time on my hands. Like I'm like, all right, well, I'm just gonna start making stuff because I love cooking, and I'm gonna take photos of it because I love taking photos of stuff like that. And yeah, it's like it's been fun. Like in my everyday life, like I love cooking. I look forward to it, all that stuff. So I figured like why not? And then like I also get to like go back on my Instagram and be like, what should I have for dinner? And like,
Yep.
yeah,
And
or
go
like
through
if
the
I'm
archives.
yeah, go through the archives, or if I've gone out to dinner somewhere really nice and I'm like trying to give someone a recommendation, I'm like, here, look it on my Instagram,
Yeah,
like this
yeah,
place is so good. So
Do
yeah,
you
that's
ever
kind of
do you ever get
huh?
home from a restaurant and be like, oh, I want to try cook this shit?
Oh, I mean, I feel like some variation of it, yes, but I also feel like I know when stuff's too good, I should just leave it to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
professionals to do the cooking. Yeah.
Oh no. I tried to make I made carbonara from scratch
Yep.
the other night, and like I think I added too much egg, or maybe the pan was too hot. Because then I looked at it, it was like scrambled eggs, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm ordering pizza. Fuck, I'm not." Like,
Scrambled eggs, that is so funny.
it's
Scrambled
scrambled
eggs
eggs
and
with
pasta
pasta.
for
I was
dinner.
like, "Oh." I went to make carbonara, ended up making me green. Like I couldn't.
That
Oh
is too funny.
no.
Oh, that's too good.
So, what would be your favorite thing? Like, what's probably next? What's probably next on the food with Abby like list? Like for me, if I was to answer it, I'd say probably a poached egg with on like avocado because you can't go wrong with that. It's simple,
Yeah.
it's nice, and everyone loves it.
Yeah. Okay. What is gonna be next? Well, me and my one of my housemates actually bought like these sushi making kits from Kmart, which are like $10 or something.
Yeah,
And we've made sushi once, but like it was kind of just like a trial run. Like it was okay sushi. It wasn't like
yeah.
so I feel like we're due for like a better execution of that.
That was just testing. That was just the practice, right?
Yeah, so
That
that
was just
that
seeing
one
if
didn't that one didn't make the Instagram because it wasn't very good. So I think I need to run it back and see if I can do that any better.
Oh no, see that's that competitive spirit. Like, nah, we didn't
I
get it
know.
this time.
I just yeah, I know. If I've done something that's no good, I'm like, nah, I gotta
Yeah,
do that again
yeah.
and again and again until it's good.
And then if it doesn't get good, then it's like I hate that. Whatever that is, I don't like that anymore.
Yeah, and if I didn't do it good enough, well then that's not my fault. That's like the sushi making kit's fault
Yeah.
because it wasn't good enough.
Yep. The dog was barking. And just
Yeah.
I was tired that day.
I was tired. Exactly. I was tired.
Yeah. So before we get into WNBL, you are a gold medal winner, and like what I was more not surprised because after looking at your Instagram and googling you and stuff like that, I come to find out there's nothing that really would surprise me anymore because the bar's so high. Like, I seen this and I was like, yeah, whatever. Under 17 years old, and you won a gold medal over in Spain for the Sapphires.
Yeah.
Just, casually, 17 from Darwin in Spain,
It was
gold
that
medal.
it was so like I just like also that's one of those things I'm like, did that really happen? Like it was
Mm,
the coolest thing. Like I think like maybe like on par with winning the gold medal was when we versed. So we're in Spain. Like I'm 17. I've got this trip to Spain. Before Spain, we went to like Prague in the Czech Republic and like we're playing practice games there. We like get to go in the city. I'm like in Europe at 17 on this like basketball holiday. Um, but yeah, we knew that we in the finals we were going to cross over with the USA, and no one had beaten like no Australian team at that age had beaten the USA. Actually, it might have been no team had ever beaten the USA at 17s or something like that. And so like we were like, oh damn, that would have been good to verse them in like the final. And we obviously had to beat them to get into the gold medal match. So like it was a massive deal.
Yeah.
Anyways, we scouted really well. Like our coach was incredible. The girls are really good. Half of the like 9 out of the 12 girls that were there, I was already living with at the AIS. So like it was a cool trip.
So you had that connection already,
Yeah, already had that connection. And like we come out against the USA, and like I like was never ever in any doubt that we were going to lose the game. Like it was just like working for us. Like it was incredible. Like we were playing like true Australian basketball, like hard-nosed basketball, all that stuff. And like we win that, and I feel like we were all in shock. We won by like 13 points or something, and it was just like the craziest thing. I don't think anyone picked us to beat the USA.
Yeah.
So like that was such a whirlwind. It was almost like that was our gold medal game, and then we needed to be like, oh crap, we like need to win one more game to actually win this like gold medal. Like we thought we had won it. But yeah, then we went in and versed Italy, and I feel like we were on such a high. Like no one was ever going to beat us in that tournament. Like after beating the USA, we were just like, we were rolling, like we were on a high from that win. And then yeah, we came out and we like pretty convincingly beat Italy, and like, and then like we were world champs, and it was seriously the coolest thing. My family had most of my family, like my immediate family, mum and sisters, and like half of my older cousins had come over to watch me in Italy. Like it was so cool. It was really cool. And then like during the tournament, you don't really get to hang out with your family much because it's like really professional, like you're on a tight schedule, all of that obviously. But then after the gold medal match, we had like this big meeting room, and like all of our families came together, and we got to like celebrate with them. Like it was honestly the coolest thing. It was so
that's
cool.
when the tears started, hey?
Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah. I mean, my mum was crying the whole week. She's a crier. So like she was like
Oh, no.
was crying the whole week. But yeah, it was really cool.
That's so funny. That reminds me of my pop, because my pop, so my last name's Stack. So
Yeah.
I call my pop a Sookie Stack. For anything, he'll just start crying.
That's my mum. Oh.
Yeah, he'll see a basketball photo, and then he'll call me, and he's like, "I love you." I'm like, shut up.
You're embarrassing me. Stop
I'm like,
that.
shut up, but keep going.
Yeah.
Oh no, but that's not the only time you represented Australia. You represented Australia in the FIBA World Cup as well.
Yeah, so that was under 19s then. So that was the next year, which was cool. Like it was like another whole different experience as well, because like in that 17s team, I was the starting point guard, which was unreal. And then in the 19s, I was sort of at the younger age of that like bracket of girls. So I was like coming off the bench and stuff, which was like, it was an awesome experience. I think like, obviously I feel as though there's always going to be a time in your career where you like ride the bench. So then you can truly appreciate like playing. And like, that was so cool as well. Like our tournament was in Italy. Like it was just like so cool. It was awesome. And then I got to play also like with that bit older group of girls who were like, kind of like we were like chasing their tails sort of thing, to want to be as good as those older Australian girls, and then to play with them. That was really cool as well. Yeah.
And did you find that time where you've got to kind of like earn your stripes, and where you've got the girls that have been on the team before, the older girls, and you're learning off them, but at the same time you're like, oh, I need to beat her, like at training camp or whatever. Like I need to match up on her. Like, and as soon as the training finishes, it's like, oh, you're back to being the girls, but on the court,
for sure.
you're competing at the same time.
Yeah,
How
absolutely.
do you kind of find that?
I feel like I'm just like competitive in nature, but I'll never take anything further than the basketball court. So exactly like you said, like, and if you want to play, like, you got to go and challenge the best like person in your position for that turn to play, because only 5 of you get to play at a time. But I think also like understanding your role within a team, like that was my role, to come off the bench and be the point guard when they needed me to. And like and I guess like I'm still sort of like earning my stripes now. Like even like I spent my time in Canberra like as a development player, coming off the bench, not playing a whole heap, and then I came to Adelaide, and I'm still trying to like find my feet and stuff. So I feel like, but yeah, definitely challenging yourself against the best people, because if you're not trying to do that, then like, what do you? I just like, what's the point if you're not gonna want to get better and like challenge the people around you to be better as well? Then what are you
Yeah.
doing it for, really?
But that's it. You kind of at some points in the season and in the trainings, you got to be that villain. Like you got to
Yeah.
tell people something that maybe the harsh truth that they need to hear, constructive criticism. Like it's all still positive, and like
Mhm.
still love and all that. But it's like you got to get out. You got to get after it. Otherwise,
Yeah,
as you come
absolutely.
into the game, it's like your team's not strong enough to stick together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like you go out there and you challenge each other every day at practice because you want to be a good team. So me playing hard against the starting point guard is making her better. So then we can be more successful as a team against other teams. You know what I mean? So I think
Yeah,
like
yeah.
having that understanding as well is that you are going hard to try and make everyone better. Then like, yeah,
Mhm.
that's the way it should roll.
That's it. And now it's just like building back to that, like after the ACL injury and stuff like that, and you've kind of had to tone everything down. You're slowly building it back together. So injuries is like a big. I've only ever had one injury, and it was
Yeah.
like major. So I cut my foot open with an angle grinder, fixing something with no shoes on, like an idiot.
Oh,
And yeah, so it ran over my foot. I cut 3 ligaments in half and was kind of on crutches and in a wheelchair for, about 8 months.
oh
And
wow.
so body fat was huge for me because I was sad. I just ate all the time.
Yeah.
I, you know, was kind of like, all right, do I keep going with basketball? Maybe this is the end of it or whatever. And in that time, I kind of found the love for basketball again, and the reason how much it actually did mean to me, and to keep playing and keep training. And I came back, bigger, better, and stronger than ever. Even though
Mhm.
it took like a long amount of time, it was constant emotions. How do you kind of find? I'd imagine you've dealt with that as well, especially from an ACL. It does wonders to you mentally. Like you really have to like test your strength on how
Yeah.
bad you want it and how bad you want to come back. Like, did you, have those times where you was kind of like, shit, like, what do I do now?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Especially like in the early stages for me, like it was hard, like a hard pill to swallow. Like my tearing my ACL itself was like really non-dramatic. Like I like I did it and then I went subbed myself off, strapped up my knee, went back out. So like, you know what I mean? I was just like, oh, just go back on, strap it up, it's fine.
You're mad.
Um,
Go on.
and then and then once I had surgery and stuff, like I was having issues with my knee at the start because I had torn my meniscus, long story short. So we were trying to like protect the healing of my meniscus,
Hmm.
which then like compromised my range and stuff and the movement of my knee. I was in a brace for a really long time, blah blah blah, which is all fine now. But like in those moments where I'm like, I'm being so diligent with my rehab. I'm smashing out my rehab twice a day, like, and like the most boringest stuff, like straight leg lifts. I'm doing like 20 times a day,
Yep.
and then and then it's nothing's like my range isn't getting any better. And I'm thinking, like, what the hell can I do? Like, I'm doing everything that I'm prescribed to do, and like, it's just not getting better. So that was definitely a mentally challenging part. Turns out, like, I had a buildup of scar tissue which like so then I went back on it to have a clean out of my knee.
Yep.
But like in those moments, I'm just like, there's literally nothing else I could do. And then it's like, well, what am I doing? Like, is it ever gonna get any better? Sort of thing.
Hmm.
So I feel like in those first couple months, that was like a massive challenge. And then like your motivation ebbs and flows as well because there's only so much you can do. Like at the start, I couldn't even get like a full cycle on the bike. Like I could go like halfway around the bike and halfway back. And I'm like, how? how many minutes can I sit here and do this, you know?
Your teammates are like, does she know how to ride the bike?
I know, like, I've legit had people come up to me in the gym and be like, "That looks like it hurts." And I'm like, "Yeah, you
It
think?"
does.
I'm like, "Yeah, great, thanks. Thanks
Yeah,
for
just
pointing
a
it
nitty
out."
bit.
Yeah. So, like, that stuff, and then, I'm not working out, like, in my usual routine's pretty hectic, like, I love working out and stuff, so I
Mm,
can't do any of that, like, and then in terms of, like, eating, then I'm not hungry, I'm not wasting any of my energy, like, I was legit indented in the couch, like, for the
mm.
first couple weeks, like, I sat in that same spot doing nothing, like, watching
Yep.
bad, like, reality shows to try and
Mhm.
pass time. So then I like wasn't eating enough, and then like I got a lot lighter, and I'm like, oh, this is not good, but I'm not working out, so I'm not hungry. So you know what I mean? Like it's just
Yeah, yeah.
is like it was like a constant battle in the start. But like I think for me, I needed to like celebrate every success, like whether that was like I get like a third of a cycle on the bike instead of a half, like that was a massive deal. Like when I got that first cycle on the bike was
Mm.
massive. When I got my range like from 60 to 70, like was awesome. When I started to walk, that was awesome. So I think that definitely got me through. But those first couple months, even like just before I started running, were like really challenging, you know?
Yeah.
It was definitely a mental challenge, that's for sure.
No, for sure. But it's about achieving those like little goals along the way, like you said, like on the bike, even
Hmm.
just eating goals. Like, all right, I'm gonna make sure I have at least 3 meals, three
Yeah.
proper meals a day, like stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think breaking it down made it like less overwhelming. Like it's not like, oh my God, there's 12 months till I play. It was like,
Mm,
all right, well, in 2 weeks I can run, and then once I
mm.
start running, then 2 weeks I can do change of direction. You know what I mean? Like stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah.
breaking
Little
it down,
stuff like that.
it felt like more realistic in my mind rather than, oh, I'm not playing till like this date. So like that's so far away, you know? Yeah.
Yep. um, what's it called? So how do you keep yourself sane while playing? Like obviously the WNBL season can get, you know, stressful at times, maybe,
Mhm.
and I know you do a lot of coaching and stuff as well. How do you kind of, what do you do in your spare time to kind of, just chill out, get your mind away so that you can stay in routine longer? Like it's weird how it works. Like
Yeah.
you gotta relax to like work harder. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like which has even been more heightened now since I did my knee. I definitely make a priority to like find things that I enjoy doing outside of basketball that are super unrelated to basketball, and then like make time to do that. Like for me, like even something simple like like going to get a coffee with someone, sitting down and having a coffee, or like going for a walk, or like going to the markets, doing an activity that's like super unrelated to basketball. And
Mhm.
generally for me, like something like being outside, and just like hanging out with my friends and not talking about basketball is so important. I think when I was a bit younger, before I had like understood that, I was just like basketball, 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 basketball. I can't come to this because I have basketball, or I can't come to that because I got training in the morning. I want to sleep this much, you know? I
Mhm.
think like it definitely is hard to find the balance, but like it's so important. Otherwise, if you only have basketball going for you, if that's not going well, then like it makes it seem like the
Feels
world's
like
end.
everything's
Everything's like horrible. But like now I think like basketball's one part of me, and then like there's like these other parts of me that like I make sure my cup is filled in those areas to ensure that like I'm good, and then I can do my basketball stuff really good. Otherwise, I'm not good.
Oh no, that's hilarious. No, that's really good. The only reason I'm laughing is because like I had a teammate this season. Like we didn't have the
Yeah.
best season, right?
Yeah.
But I took that what's his name? Jonathan Mayers? Jonathan Mayers? Creed, the big the the big dude that fights Creed. What's his name?
I
Um
don't know.
that Jonathan May I think his name's Jonathan Mayers. Anyways,
Yeah.
that fella, I took his like analogy of the cup. And
Yeah.
he's like, I take my cup everywhere, and no one can fill me up, and no one can pour me out, and this is my cup. I am this cup, and whatever.
Yeah.
So I took that mentality into training, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like to my teammate, like we're getting frustrated, and I'm like, bro, you're a cup. and, and no one can fill you up. And I'm trying my best up, but no one can fill you up. No one can pull you out. And for the first couple of weeks, he was like, yeah, nah, you're right. Like, I have my cup. And then one time we got into it at training, and I'm like, bro, your cup. He's like, fuck the cup.
Fuck the
He's like, fuck the cup. I was like, oh, well, fuck the cup then.
cup. Yeah, fine, whatever.
I was like, whatever, fuck the cup. It didn't work anyway. But that's it. You gotta find what works for you, and then sometimes you just gotta say fuck the cup.
I mean, absolutely. Like in theory, I'm like, yeah, like this and this, and then like sometimes it literally is like that. Sometimes it's like, nah, I can only do basketball this week, or sometimes it's like, I
Mhm.
legit want nothing to do with basketball. Don't talk to me about basketball.
I don't
Don't.
want to hear the ball bounce. Nothing.
I don't want to come to training. I don't want to look at you guys. Like just like in theory it works. Sometimes it's just like you prioritize things over other things, and that's just how it is.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That's it. And basketball, it takes a lot out of you. It takes you out of your social life, and then you kind of got to reconnect with old
Yeah.
friends, like all that sort of stuff. But I'm a big part of mental health. Like I like talking about mental health because everyone has their own dealings with mental health, or family members that have their own dealings with it. And so, how do you how does mental health important to you? Do you
Mhm.
regularly check in with your teammates, that sort of thing?
Yeah, definitely. I think even more so since doing my knee. Like before that, it was like, yeah, I'm cruisy. Like I'll do whatever. Like it's like I'm
Hmm.
fine. I'm good. Like I'm doing what I want. Like I'm playing basketball. Everything's good. And then like I did my knee, and it was like, oh, well, what do I do with myself now? Like
Yeah.
sort of thing. And there was definitely times there where I was just like legit, like fuck the cup. I'm not. I'm not doing. But I think like literally, I think though, like building good relationships with my teammates, I'm pretty lucky. Like I know most of the girls in the team already. So just like seriously checking in on each other, being like, whether that's like, hey, how was your day today? Or whether it's just like, you want to go grab a coffee? And like some people like that really helps some people just to like
Hmm.
check in, just be like, hey, how are you going? Or how was your day? Like that can change someone's mindset like a lot. So I think like that's something that I like to do for other people. And then I feel like when you start doing that, it definitely is reciprocated. And I like have great relationships with the people that are here that like constantly check in on me, whether that like, and I mean that here in Adelaide, like everyone in the club, whether that's like my S&C, like he's incredible. Like he doesn't just do my lifting stuff. If he'll come up to me and be like, do you need anything at all? Like, and if I asked him, if I said, yeah, can you drive me 2 hours south and then like wait for me and then like drive me back? I'm sure he legit
Yeah.
would do it for me. So like just like surrounding yourself with good people, and then like taking the time to make those relationships so that you feel comfortable to talk like whether something's not okay or whether like you need a break from that, or and also like same being there to like help other people and make sure that they're all good too.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. It just makes it easier to kind of open up to those sort of people. Like those little things, they go a long way. Like even if
Absolutely.
you don't notice it right then and there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And like, yeah, like I said, like things just like, oh, how was your day today? Or like, you
Mm.
know what I mean? Giving someone a compliment, like, oh, you
Mhm.
trained really well. Or like, I
Mm.
like your new haircut. Like stuff like that just like goes a lot,
It's like,
you know?
like, just stop it.
This whole thing.
This whole thing, like, no, it's awesome to see, like, especially when your teammates can pick you up off the court. Like, there's no better feeling than just having a shit day, being like, oh, I've got to go to training, and then you get there and it's like everything, you forget about everything just
Yeah.
because all the conversations that you have, like, you've got great people, like your strength and conditioning coach that you can talk to or ask about anything
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Like it, yeah, that's probably one of the most best medicines ever. Is
Yeah.
that
And
and getting on country? Like,
yeah, yeah. And like that's like being a part of a team, like it's the best thing being a part of a team. Like those people like ride with you to play basketball, but then they'll be a friend off the court. Like it's really cool environment to be in, really.
yeah, no, that's wicked. Well, what's next for you? So obviously the WNBL season is only just kicked off, just got underway. Um,
Hmm.
I see Lynx aren't doing too good. They got Michael Walters as their number one ticket holder, but they got that goal for him. But yeah, so what's next for you? How's with the rehab and everything? What's going
Yeah.
on this?
Yep.
And then
So
off the court as well. I've got to throw that in as well.
okay, cool. So basketball wise, I guess I'll be here with the Lightning until WNBL finishes. So I'll be here for the duration of the season. Just rehabbing. I'm not playing the season at all. Like, it doesn't fit in with my window. But I
Yep.
think being here and being a part of the team and like getting myself back on the court and also like finding other ways to contribute to the team while I'm not playing, whether that's like I do something at training that contributes to the scout, or like I coach one of the groups or something like that. So that's in terms of basketball. Obviously, I'm trying to also get back as quickly as I can so I can play again, which will be hopefully midway around next year. I'm not putting too much pressure on myself. 12 months is the goal, and that's definitely achievable for me.
Yep.
But like,
Yep.
because I'm like, I'm going to do my rehab the best I can. I'm not taking any shortcuts. Yeah. So that's in terms of basketball. In terms of not basketball, I think because I'm not playing, there's less pressure on me to have the schedule of what the girls do. So obviously, they go on the road, they play. I don't go on the road. I'm here in Adelaide, like just full time here. So I'm going to head home to Darwin for a couple weeks over Christmas.
Yep.
Which like I'm really excited for, and I haven't really had the opportunity to do that like since I was young, like before I was playing WNBL, because the schedule's so tight. You usually get like 3 days off over Christmas, so I would like generally fly in on the 23rd or something, fly out on the 26th. So it was a really short window. But I'm gonna head home for like 2.5 weeks over Christmas and like hang out with my family. My mum's moving into a new house with my little sister. So like hopefully I'm really hoping that like they do some sort of renovations. Like I also would love to do something like that, like painting walls or something. Like I'm actually super keen on that. Some interior design. I love it. So yeah, I'm keen to go home and like seriously chillax, go fishing, hopefully catch some big fish, camping if I can, and just like catching up and chilling out without the pressure of like you only have 3 days, so you need to see 100 people in 3 days. Like more of like you get 2.5 weeks, like just chill out and stuff. So that is coming up in December, which I'm excited for. And then after that, honestly, I would love to get in another holiday before I start playing. I would love to go to Japan. So I'm just like seeing if that can fit in. I'd love it. If not, we'll see.
Well, you might as well. I mean, if you got the time to do it now, then it's like, something's
I know. I'm like, if I've got the time, I should just go to Japan,
yeah,
eat some sushi. Yeah.
and then you come back home and you're like, I can make sushi.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll come home from Japan and never ever try and attempt sushi again.
Yeah,
Honestly.
never.
Yeah.
Oh no, but that's wicked. Well, thank you very much for coming on. There's definitely like a really good vibe and a good light around you that obviously you bring not only to your teammates but to your family, to your friends, and on country that brings around you. So it's definitely my pleasure to have you on here and actually showcase that light. Black fella to black fella, because it's definitely kind of make it. It's definitely more harder to be a first, and you're both of those things. So just thank you so much for being you, and inspiring. Like I hope this inspire. I know it will. There's no point in hoping. I know it will. It's definitely going to inspire someone young to see this story and see you, and hopefully they take that leap like we talked about earlier of just going and trying it and seeing what happens. If it works out, if it doesn't, that's all right. At least you try it, and don't set no bar on your limits. Like keep pushing. But so thank you very much for joining me. I know it took a little bit on my behalf
That's okay.
to kind of fit it in, so I apologize for being on black collar time.
That's fine. That's fine. It's in my blood too. So whatever,
Yeah.
when I said yeah, I was like, yeah, we'll figure out when we're going to do the podcast, whenever, you know, we'll
Yeah,
figure it
yeah.
out. Whatever.
It'll work out. See,
It'll
that's
happen
that.
when it happens, you know.
That's it. Nah, that's it. Well, nah, best of luck to your rehab, and I'm sure I'll see you like around the way with anything, probably something IBA or anything
Yeah.
like that. But no, just keep being you, and thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
All good, all good. All right, have a good day, Abby.
You too. See you later.
See you later. How do you stop this?